Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with a Vet. My name is Carolee, and I have a great guest waiting in the wings. But before we get to my wonderful guest this evening, I wanted to give a shout out to William Simmons with Simmons Law. He has provided for when we hit that milestone of 1,000 subscribers. We have some Yeti koozies, metal koozies. They're absolutely wonderful. We have a bunch of different sizes and colors behind me, as well as some of the soft koozies. So it's getting vets the benefits they deserve. And if you are interested in getting benefits that you deserve, you can go to SimmonsLawVets.com. And he is a former VA Raider. So he looks at a lot of different documentation and helps you to determine what kind of notes or things that you need to go through. And then he will also jump in and take it to where the next level if need be. It is a for-profit entity, but he has done a great job. We've had several guests that have been clients of his that have been referred and on the show. And he himself has also been on the show. So if you want to check him out, you can just go out to my channel, search William Simmons, Simmonds, and take a look at his interview. Also, a shout out, we have Grow Coffee. So if you like coffee, I'm here to tell you this is some really good coffee. It's owned and operated by a veteran, and they are out of North Carolina. So you can go check them out. That's Grow Coffee, and they established in 2020. So some really great people. I met them at Mind Overlands this past year at the Veterans Day event that they held. So we have that. And then also another guest or gift that was donated to us. If you enjoy guns, and we have Aegis Gun Cleaning, Gun Care, and they have graciously donated. It's a mini backpack, which is so cool. And it comes with their very own specialized products for gun cleaning. So make sure to like, subscribe, and share this channel so we can hit that 1,000 subscribers. Also, we have several books that have been donated. We have a couple, of course. And one of them in particular is Defending the Eagle. And I know I've talked about Frank several times. This is Frank DeMitt's second novel, one of what he's hoping to be a 7-set series. It is fiction, but it's a great read. So go check him out. And he's also, as I said, a veteran. Then we also have James Blackwell. Now, he is a Korean War historian, and this is his second book as well. And it's called Gunners, the B-29 machine gunners in the Korean War. So you can go check him out as well. Now, my guest has also written a book, so he is an author, and it is called Quiet Heroes, Stories from the Front Lines of the Vietnam War, Larry Burke. So he has donated graciously several books to be given away at our next milestone on the channel. So please help me welcome and thank Mr. Larry Burke. Hello, how are you?
All right.
Excellent. I want to thank you very much for taking the time to do this, and it's been a pleasure talking to you up to this point and getting to know you. And yeah, I'd like to get a little bit more information from you and hear your story. So let's start by, if you would, tell me a little bit about what it was for you as a child. What was it like?
Well, my father was liked to take us to the races, and he also, my grandfather, was very much into hockey. He actually had a ref friend that would get him tickets to the Rangers game. He had a special parking spot, and he could go in the back door where the players went in.
Oh, wow.
So it was pretty cool to know that. and I went a few times, but I never really made it a habit. But my father, because of my grandfather's loves hockey, kind of thought I might be. And so I got involved at about 5, skating.
Nice.
And he helped me along, which I was surprised because he was also a heavy drinker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the racing part of it was like racing in the summer, hockey during the hockey season. Um, we got special skates for me. The same place where the players went and got skates. I went and got skates. So they were fitted. Very nice. Then the racing part of it, my dad, being that he was a little bit of a drinker, the bar that he drank at had a little diner next door. So he
Okay.
would go there and get something to eat, and happened that the woman that owned the diner, her husband raced sprint cars.
Oh, wow.
So he kind of hit off a conversation with her and ended up getting in contact with Burke Dodge and became his so-called mechanic. Um, and helped Bert along because Bert had his car was very, very old. He still had a hand brake instead of a foot brake.
Okay.
Very old. So my dad talked him into putting it in the car, and then we started going with him. And it was called the United Racing Club, and they traveled all up and down the East Coast, Pennsylvania, Carolina, New York State, Vermont, um, and we went every weekend. And one of the races we went to Canada
Oh,
for a
nice.
race. So and I was young. I was, let's see, 64, 65. Yeah, probably 63, 4 or 5. So I was fairly young. Born in 51. So I'm a young kid living a dream, going to the races and um, getting to meet all these guys, and they all raced together. So it was a family. They
Hmm.
traveled together. They raced together every weekend. They ate together. They did everything. It was literally United Race Club was a family organization. Um, and I met my first girlfriend through there. Her dad owned a car, and we just hit it off. Um, I was a rebel too, also at the racetrack because you're not allowed at my age to go into the pits. Well, the pits, most places we went, were right along the front stretch. They didn't have pits like per se they do now. So I kind of sneak over the wall and like help. Louis Kuntz, who was the president, walk by, see me, and sometimes look at me and like give me a glare, or other times just look away and say, he knows what he's doing. He's hanging out with the race guys. So he
Nice.
just leave me alone. Then the hockey thing, I excelled at it for 2 reasons. Once I was small. I was a small guy,
Hmm.
and I got fast on skates, and it was a way of me getting my. I don't want to call it aggression. It was a way of me getting my something out of me that I needed to get out because of my father's condition. And then at 13, my mom died, so there was another incentive for me to do something, you know, like that.
Right.
Because whenever I came home from playing, she would always tell me to smile, and I would kind of hold my mouth shut and smile because generally I lost a lot of teeth. Actually, all my front teeth are fake because I got them all knocked out eventually. Not the lower ones, just top ones.
Oh, goodness.
Um, but it was a great. I loved it. I loved hockey. I loved racing and I loved hockey. So the two of them just propelled me on and on and on.
Nice.
Um, Actually, in my yearbook when I graduated, my you put down what you want to do, and I wrote in there, I'm going to be a race car driver.
Oh, wow. Well, let's go back to your education. Did you like school?
I liked it, but I was not a college type person. Things were sports and auto mechanics. I had an auto mechanics because it was, for me, it was a simple class. I rebuilt my first motor with my dad at mechanical, and getting a grade for it. I'm right on with that. Uh,
Easy
but
peasy, right?
exactly, easy peasy, and I got A's in right on through because it just came natural.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was a regular student. I mean, I wasn't like I said, I wasn't going to go to college. The college I wanted to go to was not exempt from military service. It was a mechanical college for um, cars. It was called Votech. It was a Votech college, and
Yep.
at the time they didn't recognize that. So um, I knew I had a chance to get drafted, because of the fact that I wasn't going to be able to escape to college, or I wasn't never going to go to Canada. Um, that was not even in the thought process.
Right.
Um, I didn't watch a lot about Vietnam, like since it was on TV all the time. I really didn't bother, because I was too busy going to races and driving and playing hockey. That was more important to me than watching some war stories.
Right.
Again, not realizing what was going to happen, but it just wasn't. I didn't need to see that. I needed to skate and watch race cars.
Right. So, how was it then that you ended up in the military and specifically the branch?
Well, I got my draft notice,
Hmm.
August 1969, right after I got out of high school.
Were you scared? Were you nervous? What was going through
No,
your mind?
no, not really, because I was nervous because knowing what I did kind of find out about the Army, that being my size, and I was a lot smaller. I was only about 115 pounds,
Oh,
and I'm
wow.
only
You're
5 foot
tiny.
6. I was a tunnel rat. And the only way I was going to get out of that was if the Army decided to make me a mechanic. And I didn't know if that was ever going to happen. I didn't know that at the time.
Hmm.
So when I got my draft notice and went down to Newark, where you have to go to get sworn in, all the recruiters are there. And I looked over and I said, not the Marines, they're just as bad. Air Force, maybe, because I could probably work on planes. But for some reason, being the mechanical mind that I had, the Navy kind of, I was like, well, ships, engines, motors, why not? But I had to give up 4 years versus two.
Right.
Um, so I went right over to the recruiter there and I said, I want to sign up. So they didn't get me in the Army. So sitting there in um, at the center where you go to sign in or swear in, I joined in. I joined the Navy.
Got it.
And once you join, they move you. The Army guys here, the Navy and Air Force guys sit over here. That way they don't come out and say, "Oh, by the way, you're in the Army," because I wasn't. I was in the Navy now.
Right. You don't want to be confused.
No, no. But here's a really crazy thing. While we're sitting there, a Marine walks in and goes, you, and you are now in the Marines. They're not in anywhere yet. So he just picked them out. Said, you're now
Wow.
in the Marines. So
Well,
I guess they weren't getting enough guys join the Marines, but he got his people. We got some people. And I'm sitting over there going, whoa, that was a good move. Um, so I just I knew I had to do something to stay out of, I thought I would stay out of war. So I joined the Navy.
so tell me a little bit about the boot camp for the Navy for you. What was that like when you
It's
first got
boot
there?
camp. Navy boot camp's pretty blah. You don't go crawling under stuff. You don't climb a lot of things because you're going to be on a ship. So
Mhm.
your Navy boot camp is teaching you what you're going to learn on a ship: communications, tying knots. We did march a bunch, but it wasn't. it wasn't rough like these. I didn't run a lot with my gun. We just marched around the place and um, stood in line for chow. It's not a lot of heavy duty things because you're not going to ground pounder. You're not a ground pounder.
Right. So
Uh,
did you have to go through um, like the rifle, become a
no, not in the
rifleman?
not on that.
Not
No, you didn't
none of
shoot
that.
anything. You carried a. Yeah, I carried a gun that was World War II or Korea. That thing, if you shot it, it would probably blow up. That's how bad it was.
Wow. Wow.
It was just a weight for you to, when they told you to do things and work, all the stuff you do with a gun.
Hmm.
It was just for that.
Just
It,
for
it,
show.
yeah, exactly. Totally show. I'm glad they didn't give me any rounds because I know that thing would have blew up. It
Oh,
probably
wow.
hadn't been cleaned ever. Yeah,
Goodness gracious. So tell
just
me,
carry this around and you'll be fine.
so what was the MOS then that you were assigned?
Well, eventually, when you go in, they give you a test,
Hmm.
and I tested very high in mechanics, obviously. So when it came time for me to get out of boot camp and go somewhere, they sent me to Engineman A school in Great Lakes. So I went from Great Lakes home back to Great Lakes
Oh, wow.
because the A school that I went to was just across the street from the boot camp, basically. But I went
Nice.
back to Great Lakes in the winter.
Oh, not so nice.
No, no. And so I was there in August. I got drafted. I went to boot camp in say September, October, November, December, and January. I'm in Great Lakes back at A school.
Wow.
And when you get there, back to there, they send you boot camping. They don't send you right to school. So I had to go. I went boot camping. I mean, not boot camp, but I went mess cooking in boot camp, and then I had to do it again before I ever got to A school. Um,
Wow.
well, they put you in a class.
Hmm.
So apparently my class wasn't ready to start. So they just dumped me in mess cooking until my class got put together. And
Did you
then
know
I
how to
started A
cook?
school. No, I know how to bake. It's in my book. But I don't anymore. I can cook, but my wife's so good I don't need to. Uh, I
That's
don't want to ruin.
wonderful.
I don't want to ruin things, so I stay away from it.
That's awesome. So tell me a little bit then. So you go to A school. What was that like for you?
Well, they teach you different types of propulsion. You don't get any really big motors like on the ships. I mean, these ships have pistons that are 15, 20 inches in diameter, the propulsion. So you're working with little stuff like generators and stuff that they can use for if they get a flood and they need to start up a pump. So you're learning that kind of things but I had no idea at the time, but I got sick in A school, and I came down with some viral thing and ended up in the hospital. Fortunately, I was walking to the hospital and passed out in the snow.
Oh gosh.
And a nurse came along. I don't know if she was going to the hospital or from the hospital, and found me in the snow and got me to the hospital. I stayed in there for a while till they sort of just kept plugging me with stuff until it went away. And I'm
Oh,
allergic to penicillin, so I couldn't even do that. Once I got over that, then I went back to A school and had a new class because my class went on.
mhm.
But I get there in the class and there's this little motor that's apart. And a guy teaching says he picks me and he picks another Navy man, Ingeman, and he says, "Can you guys put this together and we're going to see if it'll run?" It's yeah, sure. What the heck? So I worked on it and I put it together with the other guy. They put it on a dyno and it started. Little did I know that that motor is the motor they use in the Patrol Boat River, Vietnam.
Wow.
So I basically put a green check mark next to my name. Guess where you're going, Larry Burke?
Oh, wow.
And, you know, if I would have known, I would have made it blow up. Oops, you don't want me. But they don't tell you what it is. It's just another
Right.
motor, you know. And I had no, at the time, I had no idea what they were using. You know,
And
you
you
just,
were all very happy to show off what your knowledge was.
right.
With
Oh,
yeah,
sure. I wanted to make it, you know, I wanted to show them that I'm a good mechanic. And
yeah.
unfortunately, I showed them too good of a mechanic.
So from there, what happens?
Well, you get your 2 weeks and then, well, you get out of there and then you go to another little holding thing because you don't have orders.
Hmm.
So while I'm there, I get my orders that I'm going to Vietnam, which means I have to report to San Diego, Coronado Island, which is where the Navy SEALs train. That's where we had to go for our so-called survival school. Joke. Um, it is. It
But
was
you're here
seriously.
today, so you know.
Well, that's self-taught. Believe me, they didn't teach me anything. Um, so you go there and
Oh goodness.
you basically you go through some classes and they talk to you about Vietnam. Um, you go to Camp Pendleton and you watch one grenade get thrown, one grenade over a wall. You shoot an M16 and I shot an M14 because they still had those over there, a few of them. They shot a mortar, like 2 rounds. I never got to shoot. They shot it. And then that's like your training. Now you're ready.
Wow.
You're ready
Wow.
to go to
No
war.
hands on.
No hands on, no, other than shooting the M16. Big deal.
Yeah. Well, but you hadn't shot your other one when you were in base or boot camp, right? So, at
Yeah.
least you got to shoot something.
It blew up.
Oh,
So
goodness.
I get out of there, and then you go to actually a survival thing. They drop you off in this deserted area, and you got to try to get from there to like a headquarters thing. Well, I got caught. I didn't know anything. I didn't. So I just kind of like, I don't know anything. Here's my number. Here's who I am. And they just questioned for a little bit, and then they're like, "Yeah, we're done with you," and they they put you back on the base. Um, the final time the final things they do for you is probably the most unsettling, but also the most at 19. You know, I'm 18, 19 years old. I'm 18 still. I didn't turn 19 yet, and you sit with the Navy SEALs. They have a get together, and they tell you honest to God truth, every way you can die in Vietnam,
Oh, no.
every way. So your reality check is from the crap you've had at Pendleton doing nothing to the fact that you're going into war with absolutely pretty much no knowledge of anything other than what they're saying.
Right.
Their thing is that what they say to you is that if you make it 2 weeks, that gives you another 2 weeks. So, and you know, it all depends on where you were stationed once you got there, but most of the Navy bases were in war zones because we had riverboats went up and down the rivers. So
Hmm.
they weren't safe. It wasn't like I'm going to be in Saigon sitting at a desk,
Right.
especially as an engineman. So I got my orders, went there, left there, and had no real designated place I was heading till I got to Nam.
And once
Um,
you got there, what was going through your head when you get there?
well, getting off the plane was exciting. We couldn't stop. We were getting shelled.
Oh, no.
The airport was under attack. So
Wow.
when the plane came down, I heard you could hear even over the motors, the engines, you could hear like something going on outside that wasn't right. Well, the pilot came over to intercom and says, "We can't stop. The airport is under attack." So they rolled up a truck with the stairs on it. We got out the door, down the stairs, and jumped in a ditch. I had no weapon. I was in civilian clothes.
Wow.
Nobody on the plane, Army, Marine, Navy, whatever you were, even Air Force, we had no weapons. They didn't allow us to carry weapons on their plane. It was a commercial jet.
Oh,
It wasn't a
goodness.
military jet. So here we are laying in the ditch. The plane goes down, drops us all off, goes down, makes a U-turn, takes back off, going back to the Philippines where they refuel. So they had enough fuel to get from Saigon back to the Philippines. And it didn't stop. They turned around at the end of the runway and just took right back off. And here we
Wow.
are laying in the ditch with no weapons, getting shot at.
Wow. Was anybody injured?
Fortunately, the military, the base people, came and chased them off, and then got us on buses and took us to where we were supposed to go. I was Navy, so I went to the Navy thing.
Mhm.
They called it Annapolis. It was like a Navy barracks where you went and got your orders where you're going, what base you were going to. Then the other guys all went to wherever they were going. Todd Sanute was an Air Force base, so most of the Air Force guys probably just stayed there. So I get to Annapolis, and you walk in towards the front door, and it's all barbed wire and concertina wire and sandbags, because during Tet they tried to blow it up.
Oh, wow.
So they kind of reinforced their entrance. Walked in, and the guy says, "Here's what you got to do." Hands me a regular green uniform, not camo. I put that on, get my civilian clothes off. Gives me an M16 and no ammunition. Yeah, we're in a war zone, right? Sure. So I looked at it, and it didn't even have, I didn't have any clips or anything, nothing, just the M16. So I kind of wanted to say something, but I was like, he's the stupid one. I'm not. And I just, okay, we'll see what happens. So then they come to me and say, "Oh, you got to stand watch tonight on the roof
Right.
with an M16 and no ammunition."
Did they at least give you a whistle?
Well, I figured, I'll just throw it at him and go down, throw it at somebody coming up the wall, over the wall, throw it at him. Maybe I'll hit him and I'll run away.
I'm so sorry.
I
I
throw
mean,
a stamp. It's true. It's the truth. It's unbelievable. It is true.
wow.
So I figured, well, if nothing else, I could drop sandbags on them, because they did have a sandbag bunker. But I did one watch. And when I went back downstairs to report in, I told the guy in charge, I said, "Do not ever tell me I got to go up there again, because I won't." And he's like, "Well, you might have to." I said, "See my lips, read my lips. I will not do it." So I'm thinking, okay, if I don't do it, maybe they'll send me home because I'm disobeying an order or whatever. But he wasn't an officer, so I didn't really care. Got orders, finally got my orders where I go in, and it was called Na Bay. Basically, it was 35, 40 miles outside of Saigon on one of the
Okay.
big rivers. Again, Navy, big river. Get to the base. Here's another joke. You walk towards the base, there's bars and whorehouses all along right to the gate.
Oh, gosh.
I get to the gate, the guy starts questioning me like I'm a Viet Cong. I looked around, I said, "There's a bar right there. They could throw a charge out of that and blow you up. Aren't you worried about that?" He looked at my orders. He goes, "Oh, yeah, you're supposed to be here." I'm like, "Yeah, what do you think I'm standing here for, Dippy?"
It
I had
sounds
an attitude right
uh,
away.
well, I'm just astounded astounded, and I'm laughing, and I probably shouldn't be, but because it just sounds
They were
just
out of
so
touch. They were out of
incredulous.
touch with what was going on in the war.
I
They go
guess.
out to bar every night. They didn't have anybody attacking them.
Yeah.
They sit in a bar. They sit in his office, and they make stupid decisions for people that are actually gonna go and fight.
Yeah.
Um, I get on the base. I get assigned to a PBR as a mechanic. I'm going to take care of their motors and make sure they get up and down the river. Now, I don't get one right away. I get assigned one, but I don't get to it. So one night, they come to me and say, "You're going to have to stay on the fence watch." Okay. Guess what? They gave me an M16 with no ammunition.
Is it that they just don't trust you?
No, they just so complacent that they think since Tet, things had calmed down. Now, because it's 1970 now. So Tet was
Right.
64, 65, 66,
Hmm.
67, whatever. They thought things are calm. They weren't, but that's where their mental conditioning was. So I stood one of those and did the same thing. Took the gun back to the armory. I said, if you're not going to give me ammunition, here's your gun, and don't ever tell me. Here's the weapon, and don't ever tell me that I need to do it again. Plus, I'm going on a PBR, so I will have a live weapon. And then I did get one. I actually had to get one because of my assignment to a PBR.
Right.
Well, I go down, I meet. You go out at night too, not during the day. They do, but not as much
Hmm.
because your job is to ride up and down the rivers and get shot at. That's our job. Find the enemy, where they're moving, and take them out. So during the day, chances of finding them is slim to none because they're not going to be moving around. And if they are, they look like normal people. They'll be in a sampan, like they're fishing. They don't be, dressed in all black. Very obvious.
Right.
Maybe even wearing civilian clothes. So my chief in charge, he was a black chief petty officer. Um, lets me know that we're going out that night. And he says, do what you got to do. And I'm like, okay. So I went and laid down, and I'd never prepared for the darkness. So when I got on the boat, I couldn't see anything
Oh.
because my eyes hadn't adjusted. So we're out on the water and we're riding along, and I'm trying to get them to focus. And there's no lights on the boat. You don't have any lights. You don't have any. You have spotlights, but you don't have anything on. It's not like we ride down there with a flashing light. We got two diesel motors that are making more noise, enough noise that you don't. You're
Yeah.
advertising you're coming.
Yeah. They know you're coming before you know
Oh
they
yeah,
know
and
you're coming.
especially in a jungle that has trees hanging over a canopy,
Yeah.
it's just echoing. And even idling, they're noisy. They're diesels.
Yeah.
So I'm on the boat. We're cruising along. There's always two boats, but you never see each other. That's a tactic. You don't want to be close enough. If one gets taken out, we want the other one to come and help you, but you don't want to both get taken out.
Right.
So I'm sitting up in front with. They're a 46-foot Chris craft. They do 60-mile-an-hour on the water. They're jet propelled, not props. They have two diesel engines. It's a V-shaped front, flat bottom boat.
Oh,
So
okay.
once it gets up on plane, it goes like hell. And it's not in that
Hmm.
much in the water. That's why it can go so fast because there's not a lot of it in the water. It's basically just cruising along over the top of the water.
Right.
And having those jet pumps pushing the water out the back, it just powerful, very powerful. So I'm sitting with the 50 guy in the front. We had twin 50s in the front.
Okay.
And I'm sitting up there kind of trying to talk low. And he's like, why are you bothering? We got diesel motors behind us. I'm like, well, I'm trying to be, quiet. And he says, we're all right. And I said, is this okay? Are we okay? And he goes, yeah, we haven't got shot at yet. No sooner he said that, Carolee, a B-40 rocket goes right across our bow.
Oh no. Oh my
Right
gosh.
across the bow. And there, well, you see the flame, but it missed us. He shot it
Thank
too high
goodness.
and it didn't hit. It went right across the 50s. Pew! So he jumps in the hole and the gun's loaded, ready to go. And he turns it towards where it came from and just starts making trees disappear with 250 caliber machine guns. Um, I make my way to the back of the boat because my job is to make sure we get out of there, that those motors carry us out. One, two, it didn't matter. Half of one, whatever it took to get us out. So I'm sitting in the back and I'm thinking, we're going to go. Why are we coasting? I mean, not coasting, but we're just idling along like we were.
Hmm.
And I said, I'm thinking, well, the chief must have a plan. I don't know. I'm not driving the boat. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking around. My eyes are starting to get accustomed. And I look over to my left bank, on the left bank, and here comes another rocket.
Oh no.
And it's coming right at the boat. I mean, literally right at us. And a PBR is all fiberglass, no heavy armament. The only place it's really protected is where he drives it.
Hmm.
That's plated with metal. And it's coming right at him,
Oh
basically.
no.
So I'm thinking 2 weeks in country, I'm done. Because I was 2 weeks in country. And Carolee, I would have maybe my mom looking over my shoulder, that rocket bounced off of the corner of where he drives the boat, didn't hit head on, bounced off of it on the side, went across the jungle and blew up.
Wow.
So now he says, let's go. Both throttles, full throttle.
And
But
you've
I
got
guess
another 2 weeks.
yeah, 2 weeks. So I guess he figured, we took a chance. We
Goodness.
got by. We got two rockets shot at us and they didn't kill us. So we're going, I don't know how deep the water was, but we're doing 40, 50 mile an hour easily.
Mm.
Things are just flying by. Now the 50, he didn't stop shooting. He just turned his gun to the other side and kept shooting the woods, figuring put out rounds,
Right.
So I'm thinking to myself, I need to get back to the base because I think my underwear are dirty and not taking the time to really investigate it. But I'm like, I just got almost killed twice. So I'm also thinking, you're going the wrong way. He's going upriver, not back.
Which means you'd have to go back at some point.
Right, and go right past where we just got shot at.
Yeah.
So, but the good part about it is there is still the other boat. So I'm sitting back there, and a PBR side of a PBR is probably where we step onto the deck, maybe a foot and a half tall.
Hmm.
And I'm looking back and forth back there, and there's nothing for me to hang on. I'm just literally sitting on the deck. I couldn't hang on to the cover with the motor because it's all the way down. I'm sitting right there and I hear one of the motors go neutral, revving, but not full bore.
Oh no.
He literally the one motor went forward, the other motor went into reverse. And we made a dime turn in the middle of the river.
Oh wow.
The man knew what he was doing. He was a very good PBR driver. We literally spun in the middle of the river, didn't hit the bank, didn't hit either bank, spun it right around. I went from one side of the boat to the other, didn't end up in the river. And
I definitely would have had to go and change my shorts
oh,
for
it
that.
was definitely after that. It was definitely, there was no doubt in my mind there was something in my pants, and it wasn't something I wanted to be there. So now we start heading back the river towards where we got shot at. But he's on the, I can see he's talking. I can see him moving his head back and forth, and he's talking on his microphone, obviously telling the other boat, we're coming. And here's where it happened. He could give him kind of an idea. Plus, all the guy had to do was look at the woods. You could see the trees were gone. Carolee, we went by each other, the two of us, the two boats. I could have touched the other boat. We were both doing over 55-mile-an-hour, 60-mile-an-hour.
Wow.
They don't make a wake.
Yeah. Yeah. They're right on the top.
They're right on the top. So
Yeah.
the only wake they make is when they first take off, when they push the water out of the back of the jets. So riding that high on the water, there's a little bit of a wake, but it's nothing. We went right past each other. We went out to the end of the river and stopped. They came out to the end of the river and we tied up next to each other. And all the guys are giggling. And I'm like, well, they're giggling because they didn't die.
Yeah, I
The
suppose.
death rate on a PBR was during the highest part of Vietnam was very high. Because you're riding in the river at night getting shot at.
You're
It's your
right.
job.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of injuries, a lot of Navy guys killed, and that's some of the things people don't understand, that there were a lot of Navy guys in Vietnam. It's all rivers,
Right.
all rivers, not north, but anywhere in Delta, nothing but rivers. So we get to the base. I get off the boat. Chief says, we won't go out tomorrow. We don't go out every night. There was rotating crews. So same boat, but a different crew. So I said, okay. And he goes, I'll let you know what's going on. Okay. Where my barracks is. And so I started walking back 3 a.m, 4 a.m. It was early morning, very early. And I'm walking back towards my barracks, but Nabe was a total service PBR base. They had boats there wrapped in plastic that were still white,
Oh, wow.
right from Chris Craft, brand new.
Yeah.
They armed them, they painted them, they put the motors in them because they came with no motors. Everything was done on that base.
Wow.
All the stuff for the 50s, everything was done on that base. So it was a full service base building PBRs. And I'm walking along and I see a crane swinging out to where there's water. And I stopped. I was like, see what's going on. And it hooks up to something. I couldn't see it because it was below the dock. Picks it up and swings it towards me. And it's a PBR with a hole right through the hull where a rocket went through.
Oh, wow.
Just missed the 50 caliber guy. Went right in front of him to put a hole in the hull. They don't sink easy either. As long as you keep them up on plane, they don't sink. So they got it back. They pulled it out, and I saw that, and I was like, that could have been me.
Gosh. That had to have been so difficult for you, especially the first few times going out.
But I honestly could tell you that I don't know what in me clicked, or I never was afraid. Even when them rockets came, it didn't scare me. And if it did, it was something that I just put out of my head. I mean, I didn't cry. I didn't curl up in a ball. I was
Right.
like, I'm like, let's get out of here. I want to live, for one. But I was not afraid that what had just happened. And I really don't know. Maybe I don't know what clicked in my head to make me feel that way. But I went through the rest of Vietnam feeling that same exact way. I never, ever was afraid of anything.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about um, the food. So they had bars, they had, as you called them, the whorehouses there.
Yeah.
Um, were you able to eat the local cuisine, go out?
Uh, Not much. I didn't try there. I actually didn't eat any local cuisine until I got stationed uh, at Rock Soy. And the reason I went there, they took me off the boat right after I got there, and I had a boat to go on. The Navy, in their wisdom, decided that they were going to give all the PBRs to the Vietnamese run. Not all of them, but about 95%. So we Americans had about 5% investment in the PBRs now. So my boat went away. And because of that, they said, okay, now you're going to go and work on, being that the mechanic I was going to go and rebuild the motor that I rebuilt in A school. That was going to be my job. So I was like, I'm cool with that. You know, I don't have to go out and get shot at anymore.
Mhm.
Um, I'll handle that. Eventually, I might have had to go out again because, again, there were some American Navy boats left, and I still had that possibility that they could say, Larry, we want you to go out.
Right.
Um, and the Vietnamese were very good at blowing them up because they didn't want to go out on the river. They would literally blow the motors up to not go out and fight.
Wow.
You see them out in the river and they'd have it revving up. All of a sudden, they have to tow it back in because the motors blew up. So my job, again, here's the thing going on. They're trying to give the Vietnamese more responsibility for the war, 1970. And because of that, they had the Vietnamese kids, they were coming into the motor shop and other shops to learn how to build PBRs and rebuild the motors and do the work that the Americans basically had done the whole war.
Right.
So I get assigned a Vietnamese kid. He speaks English enough. He understands English enough. And I'm basically, I don't need to speak to him. I was showing him through my
Right.
ability what he needed to do to make the motor build it. Their top propulsion units were blowers like rails have.
Okay.
And you have to set them, you got to set the gap and all of that. So that I was very good at that. So I'm working one day with him, a couple days, things are good. One day, all of a sudden, I'm at work. He's not there. He's sick. What's going on? So I leave the shop and I walk over to where it's called, where they have another part of the PB, where the motor stuff, where they're building do things for the motor, the injectors for the fuel.
Yeah.
And I think maybe three other Vietnamese kids were in there, and he was sitting on the bench. I walk in and they start talking and laughing. Now, I don't know if he's laughing at me, but I'm the only American that walked in the door, and all of a sudden it became ha ha ha. And walked up to him and I said, are you going to come to work? He acted like I had three heads. And I stepped back and I said it again. Are you going to come to work? Are you going to come and work? Made it again, talking to his friends in Vietnamese, ignoring me. So I did what I guess any hockey player would do. I walked up and I grabbed him by the shirt. I picked him up in the air and I slammed him down on the bench.
Oh, goodness.
Turned and I grabbed a wrench, big wrench, because I'm like, if these guys come at me, I'm defending myself because I just slammed one of their buddies on a bench. And I just backed away from them with this wrench in my hand and walked through the door and went back to the machine shop. I don't know how long it was. It wasn't very long later. All of a sudden, here comes an officer in, and he walks up to me and he goes, "Did you just do something to a Vietnamese person?" I said, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Wasn't me." Well, he said you did it. I said, "It's his word against mine. I don't know what you're talking about." He didn't see it, so it was again their word and if against mine. So they write me up for a guy not doing his job. They write me up. So I'm like, oh, whatever. So I got an attitude that I'm going to go in front of the captain and I'm going to disrespect the hell out of him. Maybe you'll send me home. I walked into the thing and the captain's there and he starts reading off the stuff about what I did. And I looked right at him. I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." I didn't say sir or anything. I said, "I don't know what you're talking about. It wasn't me." Never said sir, never saluted him, never anything. I just disrespected the heck out of this guy. And he goes, "Well, we're not sending you home. We're going to send you to another base." Okay, fine. I don't want to be here anyhow. If that's the way you're going to treat the Americans, I'm glad to get out of here.
Wow.
So they gave me orders to a base called Rocksoy in Rockjaw. It's a town, there was a city, and then there was a little village of Rockjaw. Um, and that's where I ended up. And I actually flew in there. They had an airport. I flew in there on a Navy plane, the one that sits down with one tire in the back, prop
Hmm.
plane. And it was a delivery plane. They were bringing supplies and me. And I walk onto the base and go to personnel, and they tell me I'm in base defense, which means I'm going to stand watches in the tower. Whoopee. Because again, all the Vietnamese now, they were all their boats. So we weren't even
Right.
helping them on this base. We weren't even helping them with any work. It was all now Vietnamese. Went to check in. It was a two Amy's they were called. They were basically river things in the river, and they had barracks built on them. So
Hmm.
we were sitting in the river, sleeping on these things in the river.
Wow.
We didn't even have a real barracks. Our job was to stand towers, watches, and throw grenades into the river because they had these guys called sappers. They would swim down the river and put charges on the PBRs and blow them up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that was our job, was to throw these grenades in the water all night to keep them from doing that. Kind of useless, but it was, there again, it's the Navy just sticks you into these things, and I'm an engine man. I'm supposed to be working on engines. I'm throwing grenades in the water
Right.
and standing tower watches. So,
Did you have a working firearm?
oh yeah, I had three of them.
Making up for lost time?
Yes, I had a pistol, which you're not supposed to have unless you're an officer, but I didn't care. I had a sawed off M1 carbine
Oh, wow.
that was I had two 30-round clips taped together, and I had a holster made in the town for it to fit in, and it was like the rifleman. I mean, the Wanted Dead or Alive.
Hmm.
You could turn
Yeah.
it and shoot. I didn't have to pull it out. It twisted.
Nice.
And then of course my M16, and that was usually loaded with two 30-round clips, never on anything but full automatic. I didn't know any other. I didn't know they had a switch. Um, but I got because of where we were, And being that the mess hall was right there, the Navy SEALs kind of hung out
Hmm.
with us. And I got to know them. I got to know them well enough. I was invited into their barracks. You don't walk into a Navy SEALs barracks unless you are invited, because you might not ever be found again if you do it and they're not, and they don't want you to.
Fair.
I
That's fair.
I have a picture of me sitting on their sandbag wall right next to their barracks. Um, and I'd gone in it. I was allowed to. They invited me.
Right.
So I'm doing that, standing watches, and I'm getting totally bored. So one day I said, I'm going to do something really freaking crazy. And all the guys around me, they didn't really know how far out I was, I guess. And I took a percussion grenade and I pulled the pin, I let the spoon off, and I held it.
Oh.
I counted 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, and then I threw it in the air and it hit the water and went just under the water and blew up. I said, okay, I got to count longer. I wanted it to blow up in the air, see how
Ah.
loud it really was. So I did it again. The second time when I was counting, everybody that was back there, all the friends, vacated.
I can't say that I blame him.
No, me either, but yeah, no guts, no glory. So I counted to, I don't know, 7, I think, and I threw it and it blew up in the air. And it sounded like about a sound of a 105 howitzer exiting a shell. I mean,
Oh,
very,
wow.
very loud. So I was like, okay, I did it. I'm fine now. I can throw them in the water from now on. And then all the guys came back and they're like, maybe I should try that. I'm like, if you try it, I'm leaving.
You just trust yourself. You know what your
I trust
limits are.
exactly. I trust myself, not them. It's on you guys. Have
Oh,
fun.
that's great.
So the time was going by, and I'm going into town once in a while and um, seeing the ladies, because the town of Roxoy actually had a gate that looked French. The
Hmm.
French were there first.
Yeah.
They wanted Vietnam to be French. They really did. So the entranceway looked like a pillar you would go through if you were in France.
Oh, wow.
That's how it was designed, and it said the name of the city. So that's when I tried the food, and I tried it once. It was a soup, and I had no idea that it was so spicy. My hair felt like it was going to catch on fire,
Oh.
and it was a noodle soup. So I tried a little bit of that, and I was like, nah. Drank about 4 of their beers, which you had to be careful of because they didn't have very good with their being clean bottles. You might have a
Oh.
cigarette butt in it.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. So you always looked. Wasn't a worm. So the next thing I
Not
got,
tequila, it's beer.
no, and it was good beer. It tasted. I never drank Budweiser. Budweiser, I found out through some people that they put formaldehyde in Budweiser to preserve it. It sat on a dock in Saigon for who knows how long before it ever got shipped to anybody in the hot air.
That's terrible. That's
So
gross.
I never drank it. I think I might have tried one once, and I was like, I ain't drinking this crap. So I drank their beer. It was safer, even though you never know, might have something in it, but it was still tasted better. And so I tried that. And then one day I went there and I saw somebody next to me had meat. They don't kill their water buffalo. What is it? So I ordered it. It was monkey.
Wow.
Tasted, I don't, sort of like beef.
Okay, at least you didn't say chicken.
No, not at all. It looked like beef because had the consistency of beef. And I ate a little bit and I was like, well, that's enough of that. And through knowing the SEALs, one day one of them came up to me. He actually we became very good friends. And he's in the picture that I have coming out of the barracks. He was a redhead. And he came up to me and he goes, Larry, I want to go to town with you because I know you know where all the ladies hide. I'm like, who the hell told you that? And they're like, well, it's kind of common knowledge that you're the guy to talk to.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's go. So I had just transformed from the watch to a baker. I became a baker.
Okay.
The
That's a
chef.
huge
Oh
shift,
yeah,
like massive shift in the
massive.
scheme of things.
Yes. So the head chef, who was um, a heroin addict, but he did his job, came into our barracks and he said, "My baker is leaving. I need a baker." I jumped up. I'm tired of.
Okay.
I don't want to stand watches. I don't want to throw grenades. What the hell? So I said, I'll do it. So he went into the mess hall and he sat down with me and he says, you ever baked? Nope. I'm an engineer. I fixed motors.
This
I
is
don't bake.
great.
His comment was, good. You have no bad habits.
Right. This is true. Yeah.
So now he
That's
can teach
crazy.
me the way he wants me to do it. And I'm like, I'm fine with that. What the hell? Seems like a lot nicer job. Plus, it was a night job. I worked at night. I was off all day.
Okay.
I put the food out. He did all of that. I just baked. I was making 25 loaves of bread from scratch a night,
Wow.
kneading it, mixing it, doing everything you needed, putting it in the containers, watching it rise, putting it in the oven, baking it. And I was loving it because I'm off, I'm off during the day. I can go to the town, play around if I want to, stay on the base, do whatever I wanted. I didn't have to stay and watch it. I didn't have to put up with any bullshit anymore. So we comes to me and he says he wants to go to town. So I'm like, okay, let's go. Now I'm on a SEAL. He's a SEAL. He carries a different weapon. He carries himself a different way.
Right.
We get on what's called a Cushman. It's a three-wheeled buggy, kind of like a modified golf cart, but it's only got three wheels, one in the front,
Okay.
two in
Yeah.
the back, and it's covered. So you sit in there, and you got to be little to get in it. You know, big guys, you'd be stretched out laying in it because it's that small. So we're sitting in it. We get in, and you have to go across maybe a mile and a half, 2 miles of rice paddies. You
Oh,
leave the
okay.
village, and it's all rice paddies. So we're going across the rice paddies, and we're talking, and the SEAL starts looking back and forth, and he's like, "Why is this guy slowing down?"
Hmm.
And he's like, "I don't think this is right." So he takes his gun, sticks it in the back of his head, and starts telling him in Vietnamese, "Speed up, or I'm going to kill you and throw you out on the side of the road. Take your car."
Wow.
So we start going faster, and the SEAL's like, "I think we were just set up for an ambush." We never
Oh,
got shot at, but there was a reason he was doing this. We get to town. He left the guy alive. I guess that was a good thing. He could have put him out of his misery because he just tried to have us killed. But unfortunately, because he was still alive, he must have been a sympathizer with the Viet Cong,
oh,
obviously, because he tried to get us killed on the road. So I gave the SEAL two options. There was a place with ladies, but there was in a hotel upstairs. He said, I don't want to be anywhere upstairs. I said, okay, then we'll go to the one that's in the alley. And it did have another entrance, but it was you entered the place in an alley. The girls were very clean because the Army took care of them. They didn't want their soldiers getting VD or whatever. So they would go there. And if one of the soldiers complained that one of them was a little something, they'd go and give them a shot or check them out. So they were very clean. We went in there. We were going to stay all night because I didn't have to go to work till the next evening. I didn't have to go to work till next evening. So $25, you get a young lady for all night. $25. You could tip them, you know. So we're there, and we're separated by just a little small wall. And walking in the alley, a Vietnam alley, is like walking into their houses. They live in their alley. They cook out there. They wash out there. Children play out there. So it's busy, and it's busy all night long. It doesn't slow down. It might slow a little bit, but it never really stops being an alley, busy. So I'm laying there, and I'm thinking, I'm listening, and I don't hear anything. And this is before I got tinnitus, what I have now. So I did have some sort of hearing. And I got up and I walked to the doorway, and I looked out in the alley, and it was completely empty. I mean, completely. Wow. No kids, no dogs, no cats, nothing. Turned and walked back into him, and I said, I think we got a problem. He's like, the alley's empty. Like, what the hell? So he heard it too. Or I should say, didn't hear it. So he says, get dressed, load your weapon, and lay on your bed and chase the girl out. So we chased him out. We told him to get away, go away. He's laying on his area, and I'm laying on mine. And they had a metal roof. And all of a sudden, on the metal roof, you hear boom, 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 steps. He didn't even hesitate, Carol Lee. He lit it up.
Wow.
Took his Stoner M79, his Stoner M16, which had a canister of 100 rounds, and lit up the ceiling. Just shot the ceiling. And he shot perfect, because then you hear a boom and a shh as the dead person slides down. Now he says, we got to get out of here. Because if there's one, there's definitely more. And now they know he's a SEAL, I guess because of his weapon, and also because he could speak Vietnamese very well. He told this guy in Vietnamese what he was going to do to him. I don't speak Vietnamese. I never did. I never learned. I know some swear words, but that's about it.
Those are hard not to pick up, right?
Oh, yeah.
In any language.
Well, that's because they're always saying it to you, too.
Right.
So we get to the doorway, and I'm taking his orders. I'm like, this man knows what we need to do. So he says, we're going to go back to back. I'll go first. You face into the alley. I'm going to face out of the alley. We're going to walk back to back, foot in foot, leg in leg, butt to butt. He told me in all sincerity, anything comes out, dog, cat, kid, person, man, woman, kill it. Don't hesitate. Kill it. Because they could strap a charge on a cat, a dog. They didn't care about killing kids.
Wow.
If it was for their advantage to kill a SEAL, take a SEAL out, they'll do whatever it takes. Yeah. So we walk back to back. Nothing comes out of the alley for me to deal with. Nothing comes out in front of him. We get to the end of the alley, and Carol Lee, it was like nothing was going on. Little scooters are riding around. People are walking around. Calm as could be.
Wow.
So he says there was an army tent, and we went to the tent. Kind of a place for some of the Navy Army guys to stay. I guess it was even their barracks. I don't know. We didn't really care. And he walked in and he said, "I'm a Navy SEAL from the Rock Solid base," and he didn't say anything what I was. He just said, "Listen, my friend, we need to stay here till tomorrow." And they were like, "Oh yeah, well, there's some bunks over there. Go ahead, help yourself." So we did. Next morning, got up, got on the Cushman, went back to the base, get off the Cushman. We're walking through the gate of the base. He turns to me and he goes, "Larry, I am never going to town with you again. You're a bad influence." I am not the SEAL. They weren't. They were
Oh
after me
goodness.
too, but they had no idea I wasn't a Navy SEAL. They were
Right?
after him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Thanks a lot for throwing me under the bus, buddy."
Did
So
you? So a question that came in from Tanya is, uh, did you have any ammo at that point?
oh, I had a lot of ammo. I always carried, I had two 30-round clips in my M16, and I always carried a bandana of ammunition. I had about maybe another 30 clips or
Oh,
band. Yeah.
geez.
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't go anywhere without it. The other thing I
Nice.
did through him was you never wore your M16 on your, like a normal one where you have it hanging.
Right.
I strapped it across my chest. So it was always ready to go. Always.
Hmm.
All I had to do is spin it. And I
Right.
always had my hands on it to do that. Yeah, I never hung my hand. You know, my hands were not running at the side; they were always on the gun.
Yeah. Which is
And
smart.
yeah, we he basically just said, "I'm never going to town with you again because you're a bad influence." I don't know where the hell that came from. Wasn't my fault. I
That's
just did what he asked me.
so. How
So
long were you a baker then?
I stayed there till, well, I did 8 months at Namcan Solid Anchor. So I did a little over a month at Nabe. Um, maybe 2.5 months as a baker, maybe three. But the reason I left there, the same Navy SEAL that I went in town with comes up to me
Right.
one day and he goes, "Hey, Larry, you don't have to stay here. You're TAD, temporary assigned duty." Cool. There was another Navy base that we had gone to get supplies that was fabulous Navy base. They had an airport. Um, these guys had like a fantastic chow hall. They had ice cream, they had eggs, they had steak. Um, we didn't powdered eggs, powdered milk. You know, maybe get some milk once in a while. There again, I'm making bread with powdered stuff,
Right.
not real stuff. So we went to that base, and I'm like, yeah, maybe they'll send me there. Hopefully, thinking. So I could have stayed there. I mean, I was comfortable there. But I was also getting kind of bored with the baking.
Right.
So I went to personnel and I said, "I understand that I don't have to stay here. Can I get a transfer?" The SEAL forgot to tell me a little bit about the captain of the base, just a little bit.
Uh-oh.
They did not trust the man. They would not let
Oh.
him in their barracks. He was too friendly with the Vietnamese.
Oh no.
So he misinformed me slightly about this whole captain of the base scenario. And the captain obviously knew who I was, and found out through, however, that I was kind of really good friends with them. So he was like, "I got exactly where I'm going to send this guy," and sent me to Solid Anchor, 190 miles south of Saigon, no roads.
Oh.
the bottom base of Navy base in Vietnam, the last base in Vietnam. And again, I didn't have maps. They told me, where are you going? You're going to solid anchor. Okay. Namcan. All right. Don't know what it is. Don't know where it is. Don't have a map to see where it is. You pick up a Huey helicopter at the airport this particular day, and they'll take you there. And I'm thinking to myself, I got a plane to here. Why am I flying on, not a Huey, a Green Giant, a Jolly Green, the big one with the
Right,
big
right,
propellers.
right. Yeah.
Why am I flying on that to this base? Maybe they just have some supplies they got to take, and they figure, what the hell? So get on a Jolly Green and take off. And we're flying south, and I'm looking out the windows, and I see some dirt roads, and I see a lot of rice paddies, and I see villages. So I sit back down, but we're going a long time. I mean, we're flying a long time. And I'm like, this doesn't seem right. I mean, where the hell am I going? So I look out the window again. Everything's gone except the jungle. Triple canopy jungle. You cannot see the ground.
Mm.
Everywhere, looking that way, looking out the back, jungle. So I'm like, okay, maybe we'll get to some, it'll change. So we get to the base and we land, and I get off the chopper and I look around and I go, I am in the shit now. I just got thrown deep into the war, basically.
Wow.
They had a runway.
Mm-hmm.
It was too short to land a plane on.
Okay.
When the CBs built it, they had enough runway to build it longer, but they got tired of getting shot at. So they said, we're done. It's long enough. Oh, wait a minute. You can't land a plane on it. Too bad.
Wow.
Even a Piper Cub couldn't land on it. It's too short. It was too short for any plane at all. Any plane. Helicopters, no problem. So I go there, and I go to personnel, and they say, you're in base defense. Here we go. Nothing to work on again, because now the Vietnamese still owned all the boats, or were in charge of the boats. So I started out in base defense. My first job, the base. This is how new this base didn't even have a perimeter.
Oh, wow.
You could walk from the jungle to our base, and as long as nobody saw you, walk right in.
Oh,
there was no barbed wire, no concertina wire, no claymores, nothing. So that was my job. My first job was to go out in the swamp, sink poles into the ground, into the swamp, hang barbed wire, hang concertina wire, and put claymores on it.
Oh my gosh.
I'm in shorts. I think I had shorts on. I don't think I had long pants. I think I took a pair of green, regular green pants and cut them off, because I'm in swamp water.
Right.
I don't need to be carrying extra weight. I come out of the swamp, and Carol Lee, I'm from Jersey, remember? I'm loaded with leeches. So I go to start pulling one, and one of the guys obviously knew more about them than I did, said, you got to burn them off. And I didn't smoke cigarettes, but I lit up a cigarette and I got them off my body. And I was like, I think I need to get another job here. So I did the swamp, I think twice, maybe twice. And one day, our barracks we stayed in, the first set of racks when you walk through the door was me, Bob Reichel, and a couple other guys. There were four bunks there, four guys in it. A officer walked in the door and says, I'm looking for volunteers for the mortar pit. Me and Bob Reichel run out of the bunk area and volunteer.
Pick me.
Take me. Wait a minute. You're Navy. You're military. You don't volunteer for anything. Yeah, well, you do when you don't want to get leeches on you. So I volunteered. Reichel volunteered. Carl was already there. My buddy Carl. He was already in the pit. He had gotten there not too much longer before me. Pretty much at almost the same time. So we go and get introduced to the mortar pit. The black gunnery sergeant, Marine gunnery sergeant that's in charge of us, and a lieutenant, chicken shit lieutenant. He was a chicken. Never saw him when we got mortared. We got mortared every other night. Never saw the man. He never came down there. So the gunnery sergeant looks at me and Reichel and says, you guys ever shot a mortar? Nope. He says, just stood there. And I looked at my hands. I said, well, I got two hands. And there were two guys at the pit by the ammunition. So I walked over and I had him give me 2 rounds. Carl, I'm pretty sure was on the site. I'm almost positive. I can't tell you for sure because that was kind of my first connection to the pit, but I'm almost positive it must have been him. So I walked up to the tube and I'm like, if I throw it in, it's going to come out quicker. I don't want to hang, drop, talk all that crap you see on TV. Hang, drop, hold your ears. No, I don't have time for that. So I walked up and I threw one in, and as soon as it went out, the next one went in. I reached over, got 2 more. Boom, 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 boom. One right after the other, like a machine gun.
Wow.
As long as it came out, I knew the next one could go in. And I just waited that long. Literally, when that round passed me, the next round was going in the tube. And it was getting thrown in because, again, the faster it goes down, the faster it's coming out.
Right.
So I did that, and the gunnery sergeant looks at me and he goes, think you can keep doing that? I said, if it keeps me alive, we're good to go.
Did you lose your hearing?
Yeah, my right ear is the worst because that faced the tube. My left ear, well, they're both bad. Carl's totally deaf because he had to continuously look in the sight. Our base was made out of sand. So when you're throwing around, we shot 9 bags, which is 3 miles. It makes a fireworks sound like a pop gun.
Wow.
That's how loud it is and how much concussion it has.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
literally it would drive that plate into the sand. So he had to constantly be sighting it. So he is totally deaf. So I think it was like almost right after that, Carl came up and said, I want you to be my ammo man, my gunner. And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. But I also
whatever you want.
yeah, I'm fine with that. And he wanted me because of the way I shot the gun. That's why he wanted me, because other guys were maybe a little reluctant to do that. Not me. So he ended up having to move into the pit. We got mortared just about every other night. Sometimes they missed the base totally. Sometimes they hit the base. It just depended on, they were shooting 3 miles away and they didn't have any kind of a sight like we had, to aim.
Right.
So one night the rounds start landing. Carl, and he's in the same barracks that me and Reichel were in. He comes running out of the barracks and there's a bunker right there you can hide in. There's a Vietnamese kid leaning on the bunker, like with his hand in his head. Laughs at Carl when he goes by. A mortar lands right next to him, blows his head off. Carl drops down onto the ground, literally feet from when this mortar just went off. Not one piece of shrapnel hit Carl. The
Goodness.
guardian angel jumped on his back, and it went
Yeah.
all the way around him. Not one piece of even hit him anywhere on the body. And it basically should have, because as it hit the bunker, it just flew up into the air. He ran to the pit through, serpentine and hiding. Got to the pit and said, "I am not doing that ever again." Put a hammock right in the pit and moved in. The same time that was happening, two of the guys were leaving the mortar pit and had a monkey, baby, a gray squirrel monkey,
Wow.
and gave it to Carl as a present. So we
Oh.
had entertainment. Baby was entertainment, believe me, that crazy freaking monkey. She would, when we were getting attacked, she would not go on the ground. She would hang on to Carl or my side, literally like we were her parent. Just grip
Wow.
onto us and hang on. We couldn't, you put her on the ground, she'd jump right back on you because she didn't like the
Interesting.
noise, all the noise and the noise of our gun.
Right.
So, the other thing these gentlemen did, they were both from California. Their dress code was blue jeans. They didn't
Interesting.
wear a Navy uniform. I never wore a full Navy uniform on that base. I never got a haircut. My dress generally was a pair of camo pants, my boots, and either a green or white t-shirt. A white t-shirt in a war zone, not a good idea. But I wore what I had, depending on my clothes being clean. So they gave baby to Carl, and they also said, "We got a present for you guys too."
Oh, wow.
Sure, good. We like presents. So there was a Conex box, which is a storage box. And in that Conex box was flares that you could shoot out of your mortar, and it would have a parachute and it would hang and light up the area. So they opened up the door of the Conex box and cleared away a few of the boxes of the rounds. And there, sitting on the ground, was a bale of marijuana.
Oh, wow.
And they had smoked some of it, but it was still a bale, like a regular bale of marijuana. And they said, "Hey, you guys can have this. We can't take it with us." So gave us a present. And like, "Oh, thank you very much for that. We'll make good use of it." So Reichel took over the gun I was supposed to have, and I went with Carl, and we basically just perfected our thing. Practiced a lot. We shot from dusk to dawn all over the jungle every night. 2 mortars split the jungle, and we shot every night, all night long. Averaging, I don't know, 150, 200 rounds a night out of one tube. So we had 2 tubes. So we used a lot of ammunition.
Wow.
And you can't go on the radio and order ammunition, because by doing that, you're telling the people, the bad people, "Oh, by the way, you're low on ammunition." So it was not a good thing to call and talk to Saigon about, "Oh, by the way, can you send us like 25 pallets of mortar? We're out." So it became a job and Carl and I kind of picked each other to do it. And our lieutenant kind of told our lieutenant, me and Carl are going to go to Saigon and get the mortars. Okay. So we kind of split it. He would go one time, I would go one time. And then we switch off. And that's where the ride from hell comes in.
The ride from hell.
Yeah. Um, we had a guy named Lopez. He got us rides. That was his job. He was like the coordinator to get you a ride out of the base. He also worked with the Vietnamese woodcutters that were trimming the wood back on both sides of the runway where they didn't clear it. So
Right.
they would come in and they chop it down. Well, that was his job too. He was in charge of them. So I needed a ride to Saigon to order ammunition. And an Army helicopter comes and lands on our base. There is no Army base within 190 miles.
Oh, goodness.
Why are they there? I don't know. I don't really care. I need a ride. So he goes out and asks them, and they're like, "Yeah, sure, we're going to Saigon. We'll take them." Um, so I get on the helicopter. It's a door gunner. The door gunner now has a minigun. They've
Hmm.
now upgraded him to not just a 50 caliber or a 60 caliber. He's got a minigun. And then the two officers flying it. I can't remember exactly what their rank was because they don't wear anything.
Right.
You don't want to give away that you're an officer. So I get on the helicopter and the door gunner, says, "Yeah, have a seat." So I sit down and I look at the floor, Carolee. It's all full of holes.
Oh, no.
And and I look at him and I go, "Air conditioning?" He says, "No, that's from getting shot at. Them shooting from the ground."
Yeah.
I grabbed my helmet and sat on it. I didn't wear a helmet. I sat on it. I'm going to protect the things of importance. So I'm sitting on this thing. He's sitting. He was kind of kneeling on the door, so he didn't um, need to wear. He had a headset on, but he didn't have anything else because he was listening to the pilots, to the two guys running the helicopter. And I'm sitting on my helmet, and we're just kind of cruising around. Well, as soon as I got on board, it was a cloudy day. They went right up above the clouds,
Oh,
out of
wow.
sight, out of mind.
Yep.
I took a picture out the door. I have it, and on the back of that picture, it says, um, I talk about the fact that it was one crazy ride.
Hmm.
So we're up above the clouds, and we're flying along, and they're just kind of coasting along. I mean, they didn't even try to get anywhere. They're not trying to get to Saigon in a hurry. And the door gunner, I see him reach into his pocket and he pulls out a joint and fires it up. Now you're in a helicopter with no doors, so chances of everybody smelling it, yeah, maybe. So I'm sitting there and he reaches it over to me like, "Hey, want some?" I could have said no, and I'm like, "I ain't saying no." So I took a couple tokes and he looks at me and he points towards the front of the helicopter. What? Those are officers. Well, I think they are. So I shake my head no, and he goes, "Oh shit! I'm riding with a bunch of druggies, bunch of potheads in a helicopter." So I kneel between the two seats and I hold it up. The guy not flying, with the stick, he takes it, takes a toke. I turn around. I'm like, I'm getting out of here, and I kind of slide back. The guy that took the first puffs. He takes over and gives it to the other guy. So while they're doing that, the door gunner goes, "By the way, between the three of us, we only have 4 months left in country. Between the three of them."
Wow.
So they're all very, very short. And that's why they're flying around, staying out of trouble, trying to.
Right.
Flying along in the clouds, way up high, high and way up high. And the seats on there have armrests. And I'm sitting back there. All of a sudden, I hear, bam! And I did have a set of headphones he gave me, but I couldn't hear them. I could only hear him. He made it so it was like intercommunication, not pilot communication. And I go, I look at him and he goes, then he talks to me he clicks his thing and he says, we just got called into a firefight.
Oh no.
An Army unit of some sort was going into a village and they got ambushed. We're the closest helicopter because they know where you are.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, I just want to go to Saigon. Now I'm in a firefight. So he says, get on the 60, because the 60's in one door and the minigun's in the other. And I'm kneeling with it. I'm kneeling at it. The helicopter drops in out of the clouds, and they have rockets and they have minigun also. Well, they shoot 2 rockets out of each pod. They're so powerful when they leave the helicopter, it almost stops.
Wow.
They're diving in too. But it's so much pressure coming out of that with those rockets coming out. The helicopter literally paused.
That's incredible.
It is. And then they lit up the minigun. And essentially, the village that was there was going away because of what they were doing. He banks to the left and then banks to the right. So the door gunner is now facing the ground. And the door gunner lights it up with his minigun. I couldn't see what he was shooting at, but I know he wasn't just shooting to shoot. He was shooting at whatever was on the ground moving.
Right.
They go across, come back across, and turn now to the right or to the left. And he goes, your turn. I'm glad it had a strap on it because I probably would have took the prop out.
No.
I'm just hanging on, shooting. I know how to shoot a gun, but it was like, you're on a helicopter. It's different. The thing's moving.
Yep.
So I shoot a little bit, and apparently the word came from the Army guys, we got it. We got it. You can leave. So up we go. So now I said, well, there I go. I'm in a firefight. I'm a Navy guy on a Navy base, and I'm in an Army firefight. How the hell did that happen? Get to Saigon. And on the way, they asked me, you want to go for a drink? Sure. I had time. I didn't have to report to the next day. I think it was the next day I had to report to where I had to order the ammunition. So I was basically, once I got there, I was done for the day.
Right.
And we flew out fairly early too. That was the other thing. We left the base fairly early. So we didn't get there in the evening in Saigon. We get to Tatsu Air Force Base. Helicopters everywhere, parked. Jets everywhere, parked. He ain't there. He's not coming down and stopping. He's flying along like, I don't know, close to the ground, just hovering along. I'm looking around going, we're here. What's up? I look out the front window and I see a Jeep. Doesn't have any flags on it, so it's not an officer's Jeep. Like they always have their stuff on it saying who they are or what they are. Nothing on it. He swings around, parks it on a slab. We get out. We start walking towards the Jeep. I'm like, oh, shit, they got us a Jeep. No, they didn't. We stole it. The officers get in the front. Now, that's opposite of what's supposed to happen. Officers in the back, enlisted in the front.
Right.
2 officers get in the front. Again, you don't know they are because they're not wearing anything. Me and the door gunner are sitting in the back, high and mighty. Get to the gate. Guy looks at us, opens the gate. We drive through. Didn't even ask us. That your Jeep? We're driving it. You obviously thought it's our Jeep. So go out into town, and they asked me, said, and I had been to Saigon before, so I kind of knew out of Tan Son Nhut, if you make a right, you go down by where that Navy barracks was. There's a whole bunch of bars. I said, oh yeah, let's go down here. There's a really nice bar. It's clean. We can go in there and not get harassed by the girls and have a drink. So, okay. And I said, oh, there it is. They hang a U-turn in the middle of the road, park the Jeep, part on the sidewalk and part on the road. 2 tires on the sidewalk, 2 tires on the road. Get out of it, leave the keys in. Okay.
Okay.
We don't need it anymore. We're in Saigon. We can get a ride. I go in to have a drink with them. I have 1 or 2, I don't know, maybe 2. It was just to try to calm down and realize what had just happened.
Right.
And being that I'm flying in a helicopter with a bunch of potheads and landed in Tan Son Nhut Air Force and steal a Jeep and get away with it. So I come out of the bar. Jeep's gone. Totally gone.
Whoops.
Somebody stole it or took it. So I'm like, oh, okay. Not ours anyhow. So I start walking down to go to get a ride to the Saigon Hilton. I stayed in it was a fancy, very fancy hotel in Saigon. And I'm walking down the street on the sidewalk, and I am dressed in what was considered illegal camouflage. It was called tiger greens. You had to be special forces, or in my situation, on a base that was special. I had orders from my lieutenant to carry a 45, to wear that uniform, and what I was there for, to go get ammunition. So here I am walking along, just strolling along, going, well, I'll get a taxi soon. I don't need to walk anymore. A MP Jeep pulls up on the sidewalk and stops me. Where are you going? I'm going to the Hilton, Saigon Hilton. What service are you in? I said, none of your business. Need to know. And you don't need to know. Where are your orders? Hand him my orders. The one guy starts looking at my orders and busted my chops. Hands it to the other guy. The other guy looks at it and says, you better shut up. And I had my M16 across my chest. And he's like, why? What do you mean? What? He said, this guy just walked out of the jungle. He might kill your ass. You're harassing him. What base is he on? Namcan, Solid Anchor. Where's that? He says, exactly. You don't know. You don't want to know. It's a Navy base in the very bottom of Vietnam. Leave me alone. Hand me my orders, and I left. Got a little further. I don't even know if I was like half a block down the way. Here comes a shore patrol Jeep.
Wow.
I'm like, oh my God. So they pull up, guy gets out, sees my uniform, asks me what I'm doing, where I am. I said, well, you don't really need to know. I got my orders. They're more important than anything. Handed it to the first guy. The first guy knew where the base was. Looks at my orders and he says to the second guy, he says, we're leaving. He's fine. Don't mess with him. So I feel that after that, they must have put out the word to all the shore patrol and the military police. Don't stop the guy with the camos with the tiger greens on, because he's supposed to have them, and leave him alone. He might kill you. Because you piss him off, he might just shoot you and walk away.
Wow.
Because he just walked out of the jungle. I
Right.
did, basically. Did my thing, Saigon, went back. I have no recognition at all of my trip back. but I know I had to take a helicopter. But
Right.
obviously, it was very uneventful. And got back to the base, and I was like, that was a trip from hell. I said, Carl, I hope you don't ever get one of them. But we had to do it a lot because we shot so much ammunition.
Yeah.
Fast forward, we're shooting, we're doing our thing, practicing a lot, and it rained a lot. This base, because of its location with two oceans, very close. We had our river was salt water and had two tides.
Oh, wow.
When the one ocean came tied in, the other one went out. The other one came in, that one went out. So basically, it was moving back and forth almost all the time. And it was at somewhere between, I think I read that it was somewhere between 8 to 10 knots of water travel. So it was moving.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And the Navy SEALs tried to get me to ski behind their boat in there. And I said, no, I don't want to do that because I know you're going to dump my ass in there and then drive away. And I don't know what's in this river, and I do not want to find out.
Right.
So I denied the opportunity. They skied in it all the time. They would be out there skiing.
That's crazy.
Oh, they are. They're worse than crazy. They're woo. So again, on that base, the Navy SEALs realized we were their get out of jail free card protection. If they got attacked and couldn't get away, we were basically their protection. We had
Right.
two helicopters, but to put down enough firepower for them to escape, they would like to have us. So they would come down and actually watch us and critique us on how good we were. Carl and I were shooting one day, practicing. And I grabbed a round out of the bunker. And for some reason, I grabbed one and I threw it into the tube and I covered my ears and walked away. Never really, very weird thing to do. Both of us did. And it was like, well, we're trying to preserve what little hearing we had left. So I do that and I look up and he looks at me and he goes, did it come out? I'm like, what? We didn't see it because we weren't looking. We didn't hear it because we had our ears covered. And I don't know how many bags were on it, but it wasn't a long range one. So it wasn't real loud anyhow. It probably was maybe a 4-bagger, which would hit out in the swamp somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks at me and goes, did it come out? And I'm like, excuse me? What do you mean? You didn't see it? You didn't hear it? He goes, no. I'm like, you know what that means? We got to see if it's in there. So, rock, paper, scissors. And I lost.
Goodness
So I had to
gracious.
look first. So Navy flashlight has, it's kind of, the lens comes out here. So I put it on. And it's daytime too. So the tube is dark. I mean, it's a 81 millimeter mortar. The tube's 4 feet tall, 3.5
Right.
feet.
Yeah. Pretty decent size.
Pretty decent. And it's black in there. It's a black tube. So, and I think the round was a HE, so it was gray. Hard to see. I took the flashlight and I went across the barrel, looked at Carl and said, I didn't see it. He's like, okay, I got to look. We're going to do rock, paper, scissors again. And he just said, I'll look, I'll do it. So he looks, goes across and he goes, yep, it's in there. So now we have to get it out. You can't, no matter what, we had to get it out because you can't just pick the tube up, get rid of it. There's a round in it.
Right.
So we chose dump and catch. I said, I'll dump. He's going to catch the tubes around. So he had to put his hand around the end of the tube. And when it came out, put the pin in. So I pick it out of the holder very gently, and I kind of pick it straight up on the two legs that are in the front. Rather than lean it anyway, I picked it almost straight up in the air from where it was, and I started to tilt it. And I get it tilted, and I can hear it sliding out. And just about that time, here comes our lieutenant and the gunnery sergeant. And he looks at me and he looks at Carl, and the dipshit goes, "Stop." Stop. Why? I'm going to sit here holding this thing? It's a live round. So I looked right at him. I said, "No." And I kept going. Came out. Carl put the pin in it, walked over to the bunker where they were standing, put it on the bunker. He goes, "Here, it's yours now." So we investigated why it happened, and it was literally the firing pin got punched, but it didn't go off. It just didn't go off. It was a dud.
Yeah.
So he starts telling us, "Well, from now on, if that happens, let me know before you do anything. I'll evacuate the end of the base." Me and Carl looked at him and goes, "Well, this is the fifth one we've done." He had to go clean his pants. The gunnery sergeant, this guy, he was a black gunnery sergeant, and I swear to God, Carolee, he was out there. Woo! His brain was out there somewhere. I don't know where it was, but it wasn't in his head. And he's standing behind the lieutenant, and he's going like this, pointing at him. Like he's a dumb, crazy piece of crap. And he's going, like,
yeah.
You don't know what he's doing, basically. So we got through that, and everything was fine. Then we were doing another practice day, and I threw a round in, and it went, whoop. Didn't fire all the way. Barely came out of the tube and lands just outside our fence.
Wow.
A mortar has to rotate 15 times before it arms itself. So it never got armed because it never went far enough. But when that happened, Carl and I basically just dropped on the ground behind the sandbags like, "Oh, this ain't going to be good." And it just landed right outside the fence and stuck right in the mud. And the SEALs ended up helping us blow it up. They brought down some cord, and we wrapped it up and put sandbags over it and blew it in place. Again, you don't want to touch it.
Right.
It's alive.
Yep.
So we did that, and then like, oh, now what next? What's going to happen next? It's a comedy of errors.
How long were you in Vietnam for then?
A year.
A year.
Full year. Actually, a year and a month. Because after the military finally found out that they were sending home a lot of veterans hooked on heroin.
Yeah.
And they weren't checking them. So you're leaving there, you're hooked on heroin, you're getting back to the States, and the heroin there was 98% pure. If you couldn't even think about anything over, like, I don't know what percent in the States, but it ain't going to be anywhere near that. So your habit there is going to kill you in the States because you're going to have to get so much and you'll die.
Overdose. And
so they had to check us. And what they were doing was you had to give blood and urine before you ever got released to go home. And I passed somehow. I have no idea. I was smoking marijuana right up to the day I did a pee test. I didn't really care. And I was like, well, I'll just stay longer. They'll keep me in a hotel. They weren't going to prison you. They didn't put you in jail. They just kept you. So they did that because of the fact. So that base, I was there for 8 months exactly. And I went through, let's see, went through just about every holiday because I had 8 months. Um, 4th of July, 4th of July, we had one hell of a party. We shot 3 mortar tubes
Oh,
out
gosh.
into the swamp, put flares in the air. We wasted a ton of ammunition, but we had a hell of a good time. In the base, all the people were sitting up on bunkers, and they were in towers, and they were along the fence, screaming and yelling, just going crazy because nothing else was going on. We were the entertainment for 4th of July,
That's funny.
and had a great time. Didn't get told to stop. Didn't get told not to do it. Nobody told the mortar pit what to do.
Right.
Nobody. I walked to Chow Hall wearing pair of pants, no camo shirt, just a t-shirt, sometimes even flip-flops. And I'd walk past officers and high-ranking enlisted guys, and they'd look at me and go, "Oh, that's Larry from the mortar pit. Hi, thanks for saving our life every night," and let us walk by
Yeah.
because
And
it was kind of an unwritten thing. You don't mess with the mortar pit guys because they cannot shoot one night and say, "Screw you guys, we're gonna hide
right.
like you do. You
Yeah.
hide, we're gonna hide." So if things start hitting the base, oops, too bad.
So tell me about what it was like for you coming back to the stateside.
Well, let me finish there first.
Oh, yeah.
Christmas Eve, ceasefire. For us, midnight. That was because Christmas Eve, Christmas
Right.
Eve, Christmas. Well, the Viet Cong don't wear watches. And the other thing we didn't do, which like I said, we shot from dusk to dawn every night, 2 tubes. Well, we didn't. Because of that fact, they had all day and all evening to bring in mortars, mortar tubes, and rounds.
Wow.
They were going to get us. And they were going to do it on Christmas Eve because what a better time to do it when you're not getting shot at all day and you don't have to run around trying not to get killed out in the jungle. And
Right.
their spot they shot at us from, we knew where it was because the Navy SEALs took us there. It was 3 miles from our base. And
Oh,
they cleared
goodness.
it out, the trees out, so they could aim their mortar because you had to have a mortar virtually like that to
Right.
go 3 miles. So they cleared out all the trees and we knew where it was. But the problem, we couldn't direct the mortar in. We couldn't put it in like this. It always went like, behind them or in front of them and hit the trees. So chances of getting them directly was hard. So Carl and I decided to be the ones on duty. Now you couldn't leave the base. There was no bars. There was no village. You just got a chance to go and chill. So Carl and I had said, we'll take the watch. So no guns all day, no guns all night. We're sitting on the bunker. I think we might have been smoking a little bit just because we figured we're going to have a break. And very dark, no moon at all. It was really dark. And no, you couldn't even see very many stars. It was just really dark. And Carl and I are sitting there, and we're kind of there's a drop in the center of the bunker where the mortar tube has come down. And I'm over here, and he's over here, whatever. And we're laying there, and they kind of look at each other, and almost simultaneously, Carolee, we say, "It's too quiet." Way too quiet. I mean, they've had all the opportunity all night to shoot at us. ceasefire wasn't till midnight. I say that within us saying that, within seconds, we heard 3 mortar tubes.
Wow.
3 miles away, but they sounded like, because there's nothing there to stop the sound, it just goes up into the air and you hear this whoop, 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 and they're shooting it 3 miles. So it's a large, loud percussion. Whoop, 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 whoop. So get up, we run to the bunker where our main guy is that sits in the bunker all the time. He never comes out either, safe. And we jump into the bunker, and you had to go in at an angle because there's a wall. So we kind of went in and fell in the doorway. And Carl and I are laying there by each other, on top of each other, or whatever. And he hands us a piece of paper with the coordinates. Now, the towers had a grid they could pick out. We knew exactly where it was. I mean, we didn't need anything. There was only that spot. So we grab the thing, and Carl and I jump up and run back out.
Wow.
Because our job is to stop them from shooting at our base.
Right.
So the mortar tube was aimed the wrong way, not at right angle. And there was nobody there, me and him. Nobody had showed up yet. So I ran and grabbed some rounds. I have no idea what they were, how many bags were on them. I just started throwing them in the tube to make noise because I was like, we're going to let these guys know we're coming, that we're shooting. So he's dragging the mortar around. I'm throwing rounds. The 2 guys that were supposed to help us show up. And we had 2 because of me, because I shot so much, so fast.
Right.
1 guy wasn't enough. So they're grabbing rounds and handing them to me, and they're with the 9 bags, 9 black powder bags, which is 3 miles. So I'm starting to shoot, and I'm shooting. They're handing bam, 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 bam. I'm throwing them in there. Crazy time. I drop a round in, throw a round in, and it hits my hand on the way out.
No.
The fin goes right past my hand, and the flame hits my hand.
Oh, no.
I look at Carl. Carl screams at me, throw him faster. I'm like, what? I'm thinking I'm throwing, there's no way. So the 2 guys scream at us, look at the tube. So we both we're not paying attention. I'm doing my job. I'm throwing rounds. Carl's aiming. We look at the bottom of the tube. This much of the bottom tube is glowing red. It's
Oh,
on
no.
fire.
Yeah.
The tube is burning up because I was shooting all them high-powered bag rounds. Well, we're in a firefight, and we pull our little things out, and we pee on it.
You got to do what you got to do, right?
You cannot, we could not stop.
Yeah.
There was absolutely no way. So we peed on it, cooled it off enough, and started shooting again. The biggest problem of that whole day was we had 2 helicopters, 2 Seawolf helicopters that would patrol and usually if it was, they would take over. Well, being that it was ceasefire, they didn't warm up all day. They're
Wow.
jets. You have to warm a helicopter up. You can't just start it up and go.
Right.
So they called into the communications called to our guy and said, keep shooting. We'll get up in the air and we're going to fly away from where they knew where it was too. They were going to fly north, but not in direct line where we were shooting. And then once they got out that way, they were going to call us off and go in and take care of business if there was anything left to take care of, because they might have even stopped already. I didn't really pay attention. I never looked around to see where rounds were falling. I never bothered to pay attention to any of that because you can't. You do that, you're dead. That's the reason we never wore ear protection, because you had to hear each other. If you said what or huh, that could be the last time you ever said what or huh. So that's going on. The helicopters are getting up. Corner tower, way over by the other river, way on the other end of the base, calls in to the communications people another mortar. We knew that part too. We called it the road. It was a section that was pretty clear of trees, and it was up above the swampy area. It actually looked like it was a road.
Oh, wow.
And they set a tube up on that road. Now, that was kind of a guess how far it was because we never shot there before.
Hmm.
So, Carl, the other gun, shooting straight out. Carl takes the mortar and whips it around to that general area. The sights he has, the green and red sight he has, are useless because we've never shot there. So he can't use them to aim. He's doing it by blind look.
Right.
Well, in the way where we had to shoot was all three of the communication towers for the base.
Yikes.
And
Okay.
they're as tall as where we have pretty much think we have to shoot the elevation of the gun. And if we didn't hit the towers, we'd hit the wires holding the towers. By the time it got there, it would be live. So essentially, we could blow our own base up if it hit one or a
Gosh.
tower. So Carl's looking and he's yelling at me. 4 bag, I think he said 4 or 5, 1 round. I'm screaming at him, no. Now this is happening within seconds. You couldn't, there was no minutes. But what was going on at the same time, they had a Viet Cong on the base. They were walking it right down our fence line.
Oh, wow.
The guy on the base was just telling them out, out, not on the base, not in the swamp. They were basically right directly on the fence line. Tower 1 saw them shoot. Tower 2, which was about halfway down our base, called in that they're on the fence, right on the fence, and
Hmm.
it's coming at us. There again, no time to waste. Carl says to me again, 1 round, and he can't aim it. Carolee, he looked up the barrel of the gun. That's how he aimed the gun. Just basically ducked down and looked up the mortar tube and told me to drop around. I dropped around and I was preparing to go somewhere because they're going to get us if they keep coming down the fence line. If we don't get them, they're going to get us.
Right.
So we're kind of thinking we got to get out of here. In my mind, I'm thinking that. Not doing it, just thinking it. So we shoot the round. The tower in the corner that saw him first screams into the communication people, secondary, secondary. We blew them up with 1 round.
Wow.
Either put it in their tube or right close enough to them that it blew up their ammunition.
That's
One
awesome.
guess of a round. Amazing.
Yeah.
So
That's wonderful.
Carl, but the last one they shot at us before we got them landed right out in front of our fence, right out in front of our tube on the
Wow.
fence. So the next one would have been right inside.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And
crazy.
never caught the guy. Nobody knew. I mean, you don't know who they are. They're all them Vietnamese are on the base. They put on a uniform, Navy uniform, Vietnamese, South Vietnamese Navy uniform. You don't have a clue. And he probably gone the next day.
Yeah.
Down, got him to get off of the base. Um, then I think it was the next day, the lieutenant shows up and congratulates us. says we did a great job. We're like, Carl and I, yeah, we did our job.
Yeah.
And he says, oh, by the way, I'm going to put you guys in for a medal. Carl and Ann, we look at each other and go, okay, whatever. That, doesn't mean anything to me. I'm still here. And I did get a medal. I got to the ship. I got a medal.
Wow.
Navy
Well
achievement.
deserved.
Yeah, Navy achievement. Navy/Marine achievement medal with a V for valor, and I had an admiral printed on my chest.
Wow.
And I was an E2. Nobody.
Very
Um,
well deserved.
when I left Vietnam, went back to the States, I had one uniform. Everything else I had there was moldy and rotten. My
Right.
civilian clothes that I took, basically, I just threw them away. I had a duffel bag and it was pretty much empty. I got to San Francisco Airport. That's where I had to fly out of to go home. And I'm walking through with my camo jean, my camouflage pants were very faded because, again, I only had one or two pair, and um, just wore the hell out of them. So my shirt was almost brand new because I never wore it very much. And I'm walking down the airport, through the airport. Some stupid person comes up to me, yelling at me, calls me a baby killer. And I think he's still picking his teeth up because I didn't even hesitate. I just cold cocked him right in the face, knocked him down on the ground, and walked away. I don't know what happened to him. I just kept on walking. Got home. Um, Not really a big welcome. My dad said, glad to see you made it, that kind of thing, because he's World War II.
Oh, yeah.
Um, no party, no welcome home thing, nothing, none of that.
Right.
My sister, I think, said, glad to see you or whatever. My brother might have done it, but it was just a very kind of nothing. Um, and it wasn't hard for me because of that, because I didn't really care. I just wanted to get back home. So
Right.
it wasn't like I wanted any kind of a celebration. I probably wouldn't even, I probably would have walked out, said, I don't need this. Um, and I was home for 2 weeks, and then I got orders for the Fulton, USS Fulton, subtender out of Groton, Connecticut. So I had about a year left.
Okay.
And got assigned to the Fulton, told to go to the Fulton. Get to the USS Fulton. I'm an E2. That, you know what that is, right? Two stripes.
Yeah, right, right.
They took one away from me in Vietnam, by the way. They busted me for smoking pot in Vietnam. On the base where I shot mortars and kept everybody alive. Um, it was a kangaroo court. They had nothing on us. They put a narc in our pit that turned us in. He had absolutely nothing on us, but the captain apparently thought he had to make an example. There again, he might have want to thought about it a little longer because we're keeping his butt alive.
Yeah.
And Carl and I talked to her recently, but we never thought that we're just not going to shoot for a couple days because we had friends that we wanted to keep alive. I didn't give a crap about him, but
Right.
I had other friends I wanted to, I didn't want to get hurt. So get to the Fulton. I'm an E2. I go to personnel. They go, report to the mess hall. You're going to go mess cooking. I guess my eyes turned red and my face turned red. I don't know for sure. But all I know is the guys at the counter kind of looked at me and went, I don't think he wanted to hear that. So I have my record, my orders, my records, everything. You get to carry it wherever you go. That's where you kind of give it to them. So
Right.
I go to the mess hall and I walk into the mess. I don't know what rank he was because he was wearing white. He didn't say it wasn't. I don't know if he was a chief, first class. I don't know. He didn't have anything on his sleeves. And I sit down and I kept my records. I didn't give them to him. I wasn't gonna. I'm not giving you anything. And he looks at me and he says, I want you to report to this bunk area where the mess cooks stay. And I looked right over at him, right at his eyes, right into his face. And I said, I am not going mess cooking. If I do, someone is going to get hurt and it's not going to be me. I shocked the crap out of that guy. He didn't know what to say. He didn't respond at all. He just sat there looking at me like, did that sailor just tell me what he just told me? So as soon as I finished the conversation, and I didn't wait for him to respond, it was like he might have, but I didn't hang around to wait. I got up,
Right.
walked out of the door, and across the hall, across the mess hall, was the chaplain. I went right across to the chaplain, knocked on the chaplain's door. He said, come on in. He was a high ranking officer. He had scrambled eggs on his hat, a bunch of bars on his sleeve. So he'd been in a while, chaplain. And he said, how can I help you, sailor? And I said, well, I don't know if you can. So I said, sir. I did say sir to him. And he said, have a seat. Tell me what's going on. So I sat down and I told him exactly what I just said to that guy. I said, I'm not going mess cooking. And I said, I gave him my orders. I gave him my pamphlet. He started looking at it while I was telling him this. I said, I told this person in the mess hall there, I said, I'm not going mess cooking. If I do, somebody's going to get hurt and it's not going to be me. And I am telling you that I mean exactly that, that I am not doing it and I am going to put up with it. So he's looking at my stuff and he says, puts on his hat, gets up and walks out. And I'm sitting there with my hands on my chin and my elbows on my knees, looking at the floor. I'm waiting for the guys to come in and put me in cuffs because I figure I'm done. I just said I'm going to I'm going to hurt somebody.
Right.
And I meant it. I mean, there was no ifs, ands, buts about it. It was going to happen if somebody made me go mess cooking. So I'm sitting there like that, and I hear the door open. I don't get up. Now, he's a commander of some sort, this chaplain. And I look over, and he's walking past his desk, and I kind of look up, and I see him walking to his desk, and he takes his hat off and puts it on the desk, and he starts mouthing to me, it's okay. It's okay. And I think he was just trying to keep me calm before the guys came in and arrested me. That was my thought process that kind of clicked in my head. It was like, they're going to get me. I mean,
Right.
why would they not? The door doesn't shut. He didn't shut it. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I'm thinking they're standing right there. So I kind of peek over again with sitting like this. I peek over and I see this set of shoes that I could see my reflection in. They were so shiny. Not an MP or a guy going to arrest me. So then I look up and here's another commanding officer, a lot of stripes on his sleeve. He had so many scrambled eggs on his hat, it was kind of leaning down. And he I start to stand up because I'm like, oh man, I was supposed to salute this guy. What am I doing? So I start to stand up and he puts his hand on my shoulder and he says, "Sailor, stay seated." Now I'm really thinking they're trying to keep me as calm as possible between him, the chaplain, and this guy. So again, I'm thinking at least I should stand up and salute him. So I start to stand up again, and he still has his hat on. So I'm required to. And I had my hat on, my sailor hat. Started up again, puts his hand on my shoulder, and he says, "Sailor, just stay seated. You're fine." When he said that, I sort of grabbed a breath, like maybe something's going on here that isn't so bad.
Right.
So he looks at me. I sit back in the chair and concentrate on him. The chaplain again is sitting over there going, "It's okay." And I'm like, "Oh, whatever, cool." So I'm looking at him and he says, "I'm the engineering officer of the USS Fulton." He basically ran everything on the Fulton that had to do with anything engineering, the engine room, the shop that did the periscopes, anything that worked on the submarines that was involved in engineering. He was the man, the main guy. He goes, "You are going to be in shop 38, my shop 38, which is the shop that works on the submarines. They already know you're coming, so just report there whenever you get ready." And he says, "Also, don't worry about the mess cook. I already took care of it." So he must have went over there and told the guy, "Don't ever say anything. Don't do anything. Don't even say anything about it because it didn't happen."
Okay.
I never heard a word about it. So obviously he put the foot down on this guy and said, "You're done talking about it, saying anything about it to anybody. It's done." So I get to shop 38 and no idea what I was going to do. I was just there. I walk in and there's a chief and a first class guy in the office. I walk in and they go, "Oh, the commander said you were coming up. You're Larry Burke, right?" And I said, "Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm Larry Burke." "Okay, you're going to be in supply." Never done that before. Okay, whatever. So I go over to the supply. There's another little thing, one here and one here, and then there's the big shop. And I walk in there, and there's two guys doing supply. I look around like, "Where's my guy?" They gave me the job by myself. They were doing it with two before.
Wow.
I guess I got a lot of responsibility now. 38 shop put all critical things on a submarine that made it go up and down.
Hmm.
Motors, valves. We installed, we got in O-rings and seals and all kinds of things that sealed stuff on a submarine so it didn't leak.
Right.
Motors that made air move, made valves that stopped water from moving. And my job was to write these chits, handwritten, with numbers on them and names on them, what it was, and go around and get everything ordered for a submarine before it came in to get repaired. And I had to keep it in my area. I just dove into it, Carolee. I just dove headlong into this because I was like, this guy saved my butt from jail.
Yeah.
I am going to do anything, whatever I can to make myself look like I deserved that chance. One person though. So I just went headlong into it, and I did. They called me Squirrel because I never stopped on it. I never stopped. I was like a squirrel going back and forth in a road. I was always going somewhere, getting chits signed, getting parts ordered, making sure that submarine had everything it needed when it came in. Even if it didn't use it, it had it
Right.
to put on. And the commander and I mean, I saw him every day, every single day, because we were attack subs, not ballistic or missile. Um, they shot torpedoes. They didn't shoot anything out of it,
Right.
that went up. So they were considered attack subs, and we had we were the 10th fleet. So we had, at any given time, there was 4 subs tied up to our ship. And I don't know how many were out at sea, but there were a shitload of them.
Yeah.
Um, so I got into that, got working with him, kind of got to the point where we were friends because he saw what job I was doing, and I saw the respect he had for the job I was doing. When I would go in to get the thing signed, it was like, have a seat. Yeah. Oh, and he'd be there signing them. He'd have, stacks of chits to sign from me. And he's signing them. I'm just sitting there. He'd look over at me, give me a smile. One day I went in and he says, Burke, shut the door. I'm like, oh shit, now he's finally going to get me. So I shut the door and he says, I got something I want to talk to you about personal. And I left it. I didn't say, okay. I didn't say, yes, sir. And I just sat there. Like I might even shook my head. And he says, whenever you come into this office, and he never wore his hat, he was always on his desk. He says, whenever you come into this office, and I wore a ball cap because that was the uniform on the ship. You didn't wear your regular uniform. He says, if there's nobody else in here, and I say to you, shut the door or whatever, he says, stop with calling me sir. And I went, yes, sir. And he goes, puts his finger up. And I went, oh, okay. What just happened? So he says, now if there's somebody around, give me the courtesy, sir. He says, but if there's nobody around, we're just guys.
Right.
We're just men. He says, he told me his name. He says, you don't need to call me my name. He just when you come in here, you don't need to be all polite, salute. He said, I didn't have to salute anyone, but call me sir. So I said, okay, I'm good with that. Left the office that day. Walked past my officer. He was a chief that made it to the top of being a chief, and they kind of made him an ensign. I don't know why. He wasn't worthy of it. I never saluted the man. Whenever I passed him, I'd start to go like I'm going to salute him, and I'd just go over my head. So one day I'm walking past his office, and I was heading back to 38 shop, and I walked past, and he screams at me, Burke, get in here. I didn't think I did anything. As far as I know, I'm doing my job. But he didn't have to sign the chits. He had no responsibility. So he calls me in, and he starts running me up and down, up one side and down the other. And I'm standing there going, what brought this on? I really didn't know. I did have if you look at my book, My Hair is Illegal. I had hair down to here. And I kept it tucked under my hat. And I had my sides cut short, so it still looked like I had short hair. But as soon as I took my hat off, it would fall down and be
Right.
long. But he didn't know that because he never saw my hat with my hat off. So he's yelling at me. I look at him. I said, "Are you done?" Kind of went, because I didn't say, "Sir." I just said, "Are you done?" And I turned and walked out the door. Didn't give him a chance to say anything either. It's like,
Yeah.
go to 38 shop, fill out some more chits, go to the commander's office. And I walk in, and the commander looks at me and he goes, "What's wrong?" I said, "Obvious. I guess it's obvious something ain't right by the way I looked or the way I was just carried myself."
Yeah.
So I told him, I said, "Well, my officer, and I don't remember his name, but I think I said his name, just chewed my butt out." And I said, "I have no idea why at all." I said, "I have no idea." I said, if I was doing something wrong, I figured you'd be letting me know first." He says, "Okay." Signs the chits. He says, "We'll see you later." He picks up the phone. I didn't hear what he was saying or who he did. I just saw him pick the phone up. I'm walking out of the hall, leaving his office, coming the other way is dipshit. Again, no salute. Didn't say anything to him. Didn't respond. Walk past.
Right.
Go about my business. Next day, go to the office, get more chits signed. Walk in, and his people in his office that work for him that keep everything running on the ship. One of them sees me and kind of, so I walk over to him and he goes, "I have no idea what all went on in that office, but I heard some screaming. And I did hear the commander say, if you don't leave Burke alone, I am going to court martial you."
Wow.
And I said, "Did you really hear that?" He goes, "That was one of the clearest things he said. If you don't leave Burke alone, I am going to have you court martialed." So I went in, didn't say anything to the commander. I walked in, did my seat, gave him the shits. He signed them. Thanked him, got up and left. I'm walking past this officer's office again. Not on purpose, just because that's kind of the way I went. So I walked past and he goes, "Hey, Burke, come on in." I'm like, "Excuse me?" Thinking to myself, what is this? So I walk in and he goes, "I think we might have got off on the wrong foot." I didn't say a word. I just looked at him. I said, "Again, are you done?" Didn't give him a chance to answer, and I turned and walked out. Never, ever did that man ever speak to me badly again, ever.
Wow.
Um,
So, Larry, I've got to interrupt you here. We've got
yeah.
about a little less than a half an hour.
Okay.
So I do have some questions that have been kind of accumulating.
Okay.
And if you don't mind, I want to go ahead and kind of jump to
Sure.
those for a minute. So the first question I had from Lorenzo is, does the Navy not deliver marksmanship qualifications? I mean, either quarterly or annually or at least once a year that you're aware of?
No,
They don't?
I was
Okay.
I was never required to do any shooting of a weapon after Vietnam.
Okay. And then Tanya wanted me to ask you about cinnamon rolls.
Oh, yeah. Okay. When I was baking,
Mm-hmm.
um, we bake bread.
Right.
That was my thing. So one day I went up to the chef and I said, "Can we make donuts?" And he says, "No, we can't make donuts. We don't have the right material."
Right.
But he says we can make cinnamon rolls because it's basically bread
Yeah.
sweetened. So I was like, "Oh, cool. Okay, let's do that." And again, I didn't know how to do it, but he says it's a simple process. We added a little more sugar to the dough, so it was sweeter. Because bread dough isn't generally not sweet. We laid it out, rolled it out flat, and then I cut it in strips so you could roll it up, make it a cinnamon roll. So I cut it into strips, and then we made a cinnamon um, mixture to put in it. And we did have enough. Fortunate somehow, we had enough mixture to make a frosted coating to the top, just like a cinnamon
Nice.
roll would have. So there again, the SEALs, whenever they came off deployment, we had to stop whatever we're doing. I didn't have to stop if I was baking, but we had to make the chef had to cook them whatever they wanted, the meal. He had to make them something. And he generally kept things kind of ready for him. He didn't know that if they were going out or not, but he always knew that he could have something ready in a short period of time. So I'm baking these cinnamon rolls, and I had two big sheets, trays, big sheets, and I made them, and they were in the oven, and the door opens up for the mess hall, and it was very early morning. I mean, it was really early, and the door opens. The first guy through the door is my friend that I went to town with. He stops in the middle of the door, and all the rest of them pile into him. Boom, 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 like a chain reaction thing, because they're waiting for him to walk through the door. He stops and he looks over at me, kind of a smirk on his face, and he says, "Burke, what the fuck did you bake?" And I looked him square in the faces across the mess hall, and I said, "That's just bread." He says, "No, no, that is not bread I am smelling." So one of the trays of cinnamon rolls had just come out of the oven. That's why there was so much aroma in the mess hall.
Mm-hmm.
And we had fans in there, ceiling fans. So I took the tray and I set it on the counter and I said, "Oh, well, I did make these." The SEALs ate 1.5 trays before they ever ate dinner. I
That's
got a
awesome.
picture of the last half a tray of cinnamon rolls that they didn't finish. These were supposed to be for everybody. Well, not really. Not that night or morning.
Right.
So I became a cinnamon roll guy when we could. And the lieutenant, who again, I knew he was, but you don't know who he is. They don't distinguish. They might be an officer, but it's just another SEAL, basically.
Yeah.
So he comes up to me. They're done eating, they're ready to go get cleaned up. And he comes over to me and he takes me aside and he says, "From now on, there's gonna be one other person that knows we're going out on deployment, and it's gonna be you. I want to see cinnamon rolls sitting here when we come back." And I said, "Yes, I can do that." And I did it from then on.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome. That's a great
and
story.
it was just it made them have something from the back in the States that they weren't not. There was no way they were getting that
Yeah.
unless I made them.
Yeah.
You
That's a
weren't going to get
great.
them in the village. You weren't going to get them in the jungle. So it was like a piece of America. I put a piece of America in their life
Yes.
with cinnamon rolls. Um,
So,
and they loved it.
yeah. So Lorenzo said, he's got a serious question. What were the standard operating procedures for evasive maneuvers during those times, specifically for helicopter pilots? Because it seems like they had the most dangerous missions at those times. I mean, he says, from your perspective, Larry, what you saw and what you experienced.
I think they were some of the best operating people in the United States as far as pilots. They handle those things. He could flip it over. I mean, they could do it. And, just because they were smoking a little bit didn't make them any worse of a pilot.
Right,
Um, and their responsibility to their people on the ground was amazing. They came first.
right,
Um, Even though they were a short time country, they knew they had to go there and save them guys, and they did it. They didn't even think about it.
yeah,
It wasn't even oh, we'll just keep flying. Somebody else will take their job. Um, so I think their overall feeling of what they were doing and what they could do with the helicopters and what they were required to do was top notch. Um, and I just happened to get a ride on one to observe it.
right,
Because you see it from the ground. I mean, with our guys, with the Navy helicopters, you see how well what they do. But when you see it personally and you observe it firsthand, it's like I wouldn't want to have been a door gunner, especially when I looked at the floor and saw all the holes. I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
right, exactly.
And I mean, they could. We even might have been getting shot at from the ground when we went in. But again, you don't really know. You're not paying attention to that. You're just
Right,
trying to get through the situation.
right. So, Jay, I wanted to know if you ever got any medals that had nothing to do with the Navy since you worked with the Army or other services.
No, actually the first medal our officer was going to put us in for was the Silver Star, which is not just Navy related. But because of me, I think being in the Navy, they chose to do the Navy Marine Achievement Medal, which is basically for the Navy.
Right,
I did get a Vietnam service and a Vietnam campaign, which was just in everybody got if you went over there.
correct. Yeah.
Um, but I also got the combat action stuff because I was in combat. So that kind of put me above a lot of the Navy guys that were there because they never got in combat. They might have been in Vietnam, but they never had to fight. Um, Especially on that one base where you didn't have any ammunition anyhow.
Yeah, yeah. Here is what I'd like to do if you're up for it.
Sure.
Because we are kind of running out of time, and it sounds like you've got some more great stories
I
that
haven't
you would
even
like.
gotten to the racing.
Exactly. So if you're interested, we can set up another time for a part two. Would that
Sure.
work for you,
That
Larry?
works.
Excellent. So, for everybody else who's out there, please go check out Larry's book, Quiet Heroes Stories from the Front Lines of the Vietnam War. This is out on Amazon, correct?
Yes. And
Yes.
Kindle.
And Kindle. So, show our veterans, specifically in this instance, Larry, Vietnam veteran, show him some love, pick up his book, read through it. I'm excited to get through it. I just have been not feeling my best and
The
working.
one
So,
part of that picture that's on there, the peace sign,
uh-huh, at
that's
the
the
bottom.
that's the barracks we were living in. We painted a peace sign on the roof.
Oh, that's funny. That's great.
In our
Um,
mortar, the mortar was actually named Peacemaker.
nice.
Yeah, that was Carl. Carl named it that.
And so Lorenzo says, thank you, Larry. Hearing it for somebody who was there as it was happening in real time tells the real story. Much appreciated there. And then he said he honestly feels like your story could be made into a movie, brother. I agree with that too. I really do. I think it's incredible. And we're going to go ahead and when we end the show. We're going to go ahead and reschedule for part 2. I am
Okay.
super excited. These stories are amazing. Yes. And Tanya says, and great book. It's a great read. Make sure to go out and get that and support the veterans and Larry here. So if you haven't already, when we end this, please go out, give it a thumbs up on the channel, subscribe, like it, share it, please, with others so that we can hit that next milestone and be giving away some of these books as well. So I want
There
to
you
thank
go.
everybody here for coming out tonight. It's been a great group of people. Love seeing everybody in the chats and the questions and the comments and the wonderful story, Larry. Thank you. If you want to
You're
hold
welcome.
tight for me, I'm going to go ahead and get this all wrapped up. Everybody else, we will see you next week for another guest. So thank you guys for being here. And again, appreciate you, Larry, as well. So we'll have some more questions and answers at part 2.
Part
So
two.
hang tight with me, Larry.
Yeah.
Everybody else, you have a great rest of your week.